And now let us prepare our hearts and our minds for a time of meditation. I invite you to find a comfortable position in your seats. Close your eyes if you wish, and take a few deep breaths. Let go of any distractions or worries that may be on your mind.
Go right ahead, Faith.
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and pure and free. As I continue walking in this mystery, I surrender to my greatest, highest good. I release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am grateful every moment, every day. There may be walls, there may be roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. And now I know what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. I surrender to my greatest, highest good. I release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am kinder every moment, every day. I'm more loving every moment, every day. I am stronger every moment, every day. I surrender every moment, every day.
As we continue in this space of surrender, as we open our hearts to that consciousness of love that is in the universe, as we are open to possibilities, in this moment, we can surrender to our greatest and highest good. We can know the truth of who we are and how we are. We can be present to that power that lives in us, through us, as us. That power wants only the best for us. To face our fears, to have the courage to walk through to the other side. To know that we have all that we need in this moment to do everything that we need to do and be. as we are being that which we were called to be, we allow ourselves to do the things that we're here to do. Charles Fillmore, at 94 years old, says, I fairly sizzle with zeal to do that which I ought to do now. To be in that place of consciousness and awareness that this continues on, that God doesn't drop us off and forget us, that is removed through this awareness of aging or transforming, that we have that power, the zeal, the zest for life, the enthusiasm to sizzle, that life force lives in us, through us, urging us onward to a greater expression of that divine. We know that peace starts within us, that as we're facing these times in our world, that peace is only in us. And as that peace in us starts to flow out, just like when we center ourselves in love and love start to flow from us, so does peace, joy, and happiness. Those emotions and feelings that shift and change, that guide us to knowing who we truly are, the gifts, the talents, the possibilities are all open to us. And as we tap into that power, as we begin to know and remember who we are, whose we are, we can move forward in that truth. Just taking a moment and moving inside and just tapping into it. In this moment, we open our hearts and our minds to knowing that we have all that we need. Just breathing into this space, our heart center, just for a moment, tapping into that source. Maybe you can't feel anything, but know that that truth lives in us, in you, in me, in each of us. Just take a moment in the silence and just feel that presence, know that presence. Just being open to it. Just be aware that that power of good is in you every day, all day, 24/7, 7 days a week, that we can tap into it every day, every moment. When we get out of alignment with that awareness, we can stop and say, oh, yes, that is who I am. The power of God lives in me. I am an individualized expression, and I call it forth in this moment to do the things that ought to be doing. And so it is. Amen.
And now a beautiful song from Faith.
Thank you. Thank you, Rev Linda. Because of your talk, I have to sing this song, Gifts the Storm May Bring. I've had my share of heartache and sorrow, moments of sadness and lonely despair. I've been down on my knees, begging life, please, to take this burden I bear. into a greater way of being. I'm ready to receive all the gifts the storm may bring. There's a deeper sense within of God unfolding. Yes, these clouds are lifting me. Lord knows I've tried to run from these battles, but each time I circle to where I began, I can't seem to move on till the learning is done. So teach me the perfection there. I embrace this pain that I feel, for I know it's birthing me into a greater way of being. I'm ready to receive all the gifts this storm may bring. There's a deeper sense within of God unfolding. My light is growing. Yes, these clouds are lifting. They're lifting me, raise me up to the next glorious mountain. I will love each valley and peak. Yes, there will be a new me for certain. With every step, every turn, my God's waiting there. My greatness, it does. I embrace this pain that I feel, for I know it's birthing me into a greater way of being. I'm ready to receive all the gifts the storm may bring. Oh Lord, there's a deeper sense within of God unfolding. My light is growing. There's peace in knowing that these clouds are lifting me. I'm so grateful. I know these clouds are lifting me. Yes, they're lifting me higher. Oh, yes, I can love the rain. Let go of the pain and say yes, say yes. Say yes to the gifts the storm may bring. You see, it's lifting me higher, making me stronger, bringing me forward on to a greater me. Ooh, yes.
Faith Rivera. Faith, thank you.
Thank you, Faith. You did the message for me. Thank you. I can go home now.
And I want to introduce you, Linda. Is that okay?
Okay.
All
Okay.
right. Here's Linda. No. It's Faith, that was just beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for being a part of our ministry. We appreciate it. We look forward to having you back again. Thank you. Beautiful. And you, Reverend Linda, thank you for being here this morning. It's just such a joy. You're part of our family too here. And we enjoy having you here and looking forward to having you back again. And for bringing the love that you bring to the unity movement. Thank you, Linda. Looking forward to what you have to say this morning. Let's welcome Reverend Linda McLeod.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. I took a Toastmasters class, well, introduced to Toastmasters again yesterday. And so then you start counting your ahs, and the filling the spaces. But I have to let go and let God. And so my question is, what do you do when life hits? I know life never hits any of you guys. It's just me that every once in a while life goes, bam, London, wake up. I just came through a dark night of the soul where I did an event 2 years ago, and I was introduced to a lot of people and a lot of ideas about who and what is possible. And I came back home to my regular everyday life, and it was just like, what do I do now? And coming, in the dark night, I get to experience who I am or who I am not. And my first reaction is to try to not live in it, to change it, make it different. Let me find a man, or let me find a new car. I had them laughing. I said, well, didn't get the man, but got the new car. So it just increased the car payments. But life is happening all the time. I look at Charles and Myrtle in the movement, the unity movement, and what it has gone through, and the shifts and changes that have happened. About 4 years ago, Richard Bach said, he said, we're babies in this new thought environment. We're brand new babies, and we get to experience how we want to experience this shift and changes as we're starting to grow. My mom used to say to me all the time, she said, Linda, you always have problems. I'm like, really? Always? She said, yes, they just change as you get older. I was like, what? She said, the problems you had at 10 are different than the problems you had when you were 5. I was like, yeah. She said, well, when you get 50, they're going to be different than when you were 45. And it's not that life is a bad thing. It's a good thing. We're here. We get to experience it. So one of the lessons that came to me a couple of weeks ago is life is always working for my highest and best good. Like, I don't know that, but again, I get to hear that. Life is working for my highest and best good. It says, what happens when life happens to me? When I get in those moments of the dark night of the soul, when I feel like God has left me, that there is nothing that I can grab hold of, there's no energy in my soul, there's just this blank feeling of emptiness. Or you could have had a death in the family, you could have had lost a job or retired from a job, something. You could be walking across the street and the squirrel ran in front of you, but something happens that causes me to have to shift where I am in the moment. And one of the things that I was learning was feelings. I thought feelings was the end all mean all, because feelings, I don't want to feel them because they're going to kill me. And so I was looking and I read, and we go through, listen to this, we can go through 1,005 feelings within a minute. I'm like, no way. There's no way I can feel that many things in a minute. Yes. And I learned that feelings are in response to an emotion. And I thought, well, how many of the emotions? There are a lot of emotions, but there's like 8 key emotions that we go through that triggers feelings. And so I was like, well, what are these? Anger, fear, contempt, disgust, enjoyment, sadness, surprise, and trust. And I always thought, and I ask this question a lot, is feeling a love or an emotion? Emotions are those things that are created in us from childhood that we start to live into from 5 years younger. We have these emotions that are developed. Trust. We learn to either trust or distrust. We learn to have joy and excitement about life, or it's just boring. We get to experience life those first 5 years, and we're learning to reshape those things that were given to us in our early ages. I didn't believe that either. Yeah, right. But as we're growing and developing, we're learning how to shape, reshape, and reform those ideas that were given to us as small children. How do I know that I'm having an emotion? A feeling occurs. And for me, because I was afraid to feel feelings, I became a numb being. if somebody asked me how I was doing, I was fine. Everything's fine. Everything, no matter what was happening inside of me, I was always fine. Life was always good. And on the inside, I was just screaming and crying and wanting to beat the crap out of the universe, because it wasn't working for me. And so as I'm learning to reshape my idea about who I am and what my goals and objectives are, I get to reassess those things that are inside me. And usually what causes me to shift, somebody said this the other day, and I'm copying, inspiration or desperation. What causes us to have to shift or choose to shift is inspiration or desperation. Something comes up, burning bush. How many of y'all, for me, I was always looking for the burning bush. If I could just have God speak to me and ask me who I was and I could discuss it with him, it'll be all right. We get it together. Or if something would happen that would get me off my beam and I'd have to be screaming and yelling at someone about how horrible life is. And so walking through those shifts and changes, get into a place where I could start to live comfortably. I use the story of Jesus in the storm. So Jesus had just done this wonderful, magnificent speech, Sermon on the Mount. I mean, it was just, he had 5,000 people, men. That were just the men. And he had just had this great discussion with them. And he decided he needed to go to the other side. And as he was in the boat with the disciples, this storm came up. And Jesus is laying down sleeping. And the disciples are getting more and more afraid. And finally, somebody said, "Wake up, Jesus, because we need some help here." And so finally, Jesus wakes up and he says, "What's going on?" And the disciples said, "Can't you tell? We're about to be swallowed up by the storm." And Jesus said, "What? Peace, be still." And the storm leveled out. And he looked at the disciples and he says, "Where's your faith? You just went through this great conversation, this great discussion about who you are and how great you are. And yet it's still the first time something comes up, you get afraid. Where's your faith?" I love the scripture that says, God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. How do we get back to that sound mind when things just seem to be shifting and going in a different arena than what I think? What I'm learning is two things I'm learning: to let go of the fear. And somebody said, "Well, you can't let go of the fear." No, the fear is going to always be there. Fear is a very important part of our journey because the fear helps us decide, do I need to run? Do I need to stand still? What should I do? That fear goes, make a decision, make a choice, because your life might depend on it. So fear is always there. It's how we're dealing with it. It's that and I pray every morning for the courage to face the fears. Fear. Coming on here to talk this morning, that's a fear. People say, "Well, you've done it a lot." But yet and still that energy comes up again that says, "Woo, I'm going to talk in front of people." And I said, thank you, God, for the courage to walk through this situation, to be able to be a light and a blessing to someone, and to be a light and a blessing to me, because every time I do it, I get some more energy, some more love, some more peace that helps me to be able to move forward. So what do I do when the storm hits? I stop and I remember those things that we're individualized expressions of the divine. God didn't just create us and dump us off on the planet. We have everything that God gave us, everything that God had. He said, you are made in the image and likeness of God. You have all the power that you need to do the things that you need to do. It's just a matter of being able to stand still, take the moment, and make a conscious decision to do something different. It's hard. It was hard. It says it takes 8 seconds to make a change and a decision. 8 seconds. I thought, what? It said just pause for 8 seconds. And it gives the brain time to engage so that you can make a conscious decision. I was one of those people that just flew off the handle and just, made decisions that weren't very healthy for me. But now I know how to stop. Take those 8 seconds. And another thing that I'm learning to do is sit in the feelings, because feelings are going to change. Feelings are going to change. They won't kill you. Feelings will not kill you. I thought that. You probably already know that, but they don't. When we're in pain, pain won't kill us. That was something else I had to learn. Pain doesn't kill us. It's the fear of the pain that kills us. Because when we get into pain, the body goes, die, die, die. We go, look, oh, we tense up and we fight it. But if we can just move into the pain, if we can feel the pain, get in touch with the fear that's driving the pain, and then we can do the forgiveness work behind it, we can move through whatever's going on in our lives at any given time. That's the process. Whatever's coming up, joy, happy, even joy. When you're having a period moment of joy, take time, explore it. What are the emotions that come up that are allowing you to have that moment of joy? And when you do that, you can bring more joy in your life. Wayne Dyer says, if you don't make peace with your past, it will keep showing up in your present. And so what I'm learning to do is when my past come up, to make peace with it. And the more I make peace with the past, the more peace I have in the present. The wars, I love this one. And people can jump on me if they want to. I'm not taking sides because it's two brothers, families that are still fighting against each other. And we're fighting over property that we should be able to come together and say, hey, let's live together in this place. But it's mine. I deserve it and not you. And so we can let go and move into the knowingness, letting go of our past. I don't want to say let go, make peace with it. I've had to make peace with my past. I've made peace with a lot of people. My major example was pain to me, and y'all can shoot me, I'm metaphysical malpractice, but for me, pain is a result of unforgiveness. And so a couple of weeks ago, my feet were hurting. I mean, there was so much pain. And I knew it was about forgiveness because I do Louise Hay too. So I went and I looked it up and I said, oh, forgiveness. And I'm going through my list of I forgive, I forgive, I forgive. And it's not going away. So my daughter came over with her new partner, and they're a cute couple, right? And so I had a flashback, and I said to my daughter, honey, I was not a good person for relationship. I was not a good example for relationships. And she said, well, yeah, Mom, probably not. And so I said, well, use my example differently. You saw what I did, don't do the same things. And she said, I know, Mommy, I know. So I went back that night and I forgave myself for being a bad mother in terms of relationships. And I just said, okay, God, I forgive me for being a bad example for relationships to my daughter. And I did it. And I really, went inside and just really acknowledged that I did the best that I could do. This was like, she came over Sunday. So Monday, I didn't notice my feet. Tuesday, I didn't notice my feet. Wednesday, I had no pain. And so what I say, was when I haven't, and this was about 2 months ago. A month ago. It was a month ago because she just went to somewhere else. She went to Vegas for her birthday. Anyway, the pain went away. It has not come back because I went inside to the pain body and looked at what was causing that pain. What bit of unforgiveness? What was I holding on to that was not true of my being? Because I did the best that I could. With the information, my therapist taught me, she says, with the information you have, when you make a decision, you're making the best decision you can make in the moment. So I had to own that. I am responsible for every decision I make. That's why I take those 8 seconds now. That I'm responsible for those. And as I become more and more responsible for and own the responsibility, I lose my victimhood. Nobody's doing anything to me anymore. And I get to bless all those people that come in my life that are my teachers, my healers. Because they teach me to remember who I am, because now I have to go back inside and see what are they teaching me that I need to learn. So when I'm really angry at someone, I know that's childhood stuff. And if I heal it and it comes back up, I get to let it go every time until it doesn't bother me anymore. There's no more pressing the button, right? that button is heal. And Charles Fillmore says forgiveness is the key to healing. Myrtle Fillmore, when she was doing her healing work, what did she say every day? Body, I forgive you for thinking that you were weak and incompetent. Body, I forgive myself for thinking that you were weak and incompetent. She did this for 2 years. I think she was healed the first time she heard the statement, I'm a child of God and I do not inherit sicknesses. But it took her 2 years to recognize that. So as we're going through these situations in the life, when the storm hits, we stop. We look at what's the core of our beingness. What's the emotion that's being triggered, that's happening, that's ready for us to heal? That when the storms come, I live in Florida, we have hurricanes. And when they come through, they literally destroy a lot of property. But guess what? In 3 to 5 years, that property is starting to, that damage is starting to be rebuilt and better. For example, when they had the hurricanes here in, I think it was 2010, 1995 in Miami, and they destroyed a lot of Miami. Well, guess what? A lot of the building codes changed. That now, when new buildings are being built, they have to build to this new code. And guess what? We don't have as much destruction as far as building because we learned something new. We can do it better. And so as we walk through these situations in our lives and as we develop the awareness, Wayne Dyer says, change the way you see things and the things you see will change. When you can change the way you see a situation and see it in the way that you truly want to see it, it will change. We learn in unity, thoughts become things, right? Change the thought, change the situation. And so as we're walking through these situations in our lives and we're becoming more and more conscious of the situations, then we can see them differently. Charles Fillmore says, prayer is the most highly accelerated mind action known. It steps up the mental action until man's consciousness synchronizes with God's mind, or Christ's mind. So when we're praying, we're not asking God to change the situation. We're asking God to change us so that we can see the situation differently. So prayer isn't to change something out there. Prayer is to change us so we can see it differently, more conscious, more aware. And the more that we see it differently, the way we want to see it, not from a victim, but from a child of God, from a higher consciousness, the higher our consciousness become and the greater awareness that we have of the truth the truth of who we truly are, loved beings of the universe. And so as we step through this process, look at your thoughts. People say, oh, don't want to look at my thoughts. It's very important for us to look at what we're thinking. Because once we learn what we're thinking, we can decide if we want to keep thinking that or we want to think something different. And when we can start to think differently, guess what? Again, life starts to change. So when we can see it differently, think of it differently, we can take actions to do it differently. My last example, I finally decided I didn't want to lose weight, right? Because I tell her, oh, I want to lose weight. I want to let go of weight, right? So the other day, I looked at myself and I said, Linda, you've been saying this for 40 years. Have you lost any weight or let go of any weight? No. Every time I lose it, I put it back on, right? So I'm going to stop looking for it, stop losing it. But, I had to make a conscious thought. I don't want to lose weight. I want to be healthy. And can I look at myself the way I look and be okay with that and be healthy? Because it's not my definition. It's someone else that tells me I have to be a size 10. Well, actually, it's a size 3 now in order to look good. And so I was like, wow, I don't want to lose weight. I don't want to be a Twiggy. I don't even want to be a that. I want to be what I am. So I claimed me and said, I'm going to learn to love me in this space because this is who I am and this is where I can operate from, not somebody else's choice. So what happened? I'm thinking different. I'm seeing it differently, and I'm making actions differently. So I'm not beating myself up every time I look in the mirror. I can look in the mirror and say, okay, Lana, we can deal with that. We can work with that. It's okay. So this whole process is when the storms hit, we can feel the feelings, know where they came from, and start to heal them. And once they're healed, if they come back, you recognize them so much quicker. And you can say, oh, I've already dealt with that. Or you can say, Okay, I need to deal with that a little bit more. And that's the journey. So for this week, what do we want to do? We want to look at what we're saying. We want to look at our thoughts and be able to decide, are the thoughts that we're thinking, are they my thoughts or are they the world's thoughts? Are they who I want to be or who somebody else think I ought to be? And feel the energy around that. Claim it, own it, be it. Be willing to sit with the feelings. Be willing to sit with them and enjoy them. No matter how much pain they create, just forgive and just sit there and just continue to forgive until you get to a place where you go, yeah, I take full responsibility for that. And I can love myself and love the people in my life who've helped me be the person that I am today. Take time to pray and meditate. And so it is.